But at the same time, it also, once you understand that you have to have it, it also gives you the freedom to be more creative once you've dialed it in.
It's ice cream, right? I wanted something though that spoke to yesteryear. That
Hey team, Jim Cripps here with the Charge Forward Podcast, and I have a sweet treat for you today. I have the founder and operator, president of Golly G's Ice Cream and Rapamar Containers.
That's
Joey,
right. Hey,
welcome to the show.
What's up, man?
Oh,
Thanks for having me, Jim.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are very, very familiar with your business because it was like 800 yards from my house.
Right.
And if you're going to put an ice cream shop in Pleasant View and guarantee that we stop by, just put it 800 yards from the house.
That was our point. That's our reasoning in putting it there was like, Jim's close by. Let's put it here.
That's right. That's right. Well, you guys, and we talked a little bit about this, but you took what was, I want to say, a underutilized, to be nice, an underutilized space, and that was your first location, right?
It was, yeah. Back in 2016, we had a boutique there. It had been many other things when we purchased it. We put a boutique in there for a little bit. We outgrew that space, had that building there, and I had always, and we probably get into this, but I had always wanted to own an ice cream shop of all things. I had been many other things in life, and I had recently realized how much I love customer service, and I'd never worked in retail before, and we had done that a little bit in the boutique, and I had realized how much I love that interaction with customers, and I combined that with this just kind of strange affinity I had for ice cream, more so than most people, that I'd had since I was a child, and I've always been an entrepreneur at heart. Again, I'm sure we'll talk through that more, but it just was an opportunity to do something I'd always dreamed of, and man, we just kind of took a risk on it and dreamed a dream and started in 2000. That started about 2015, about 2016, early 2016 we opened, and it's been a heck of a ride since.
Well, it's amazing, and you guys have built a great brand too. I mean, everybody knows that if you stop by there, one, you're going to have some amazing flavors, which I'm sure you hang your hat on, but two, it's also a really good experience.
Well, I appreciate that, and that's super important to us. I mean, and we started with the brand before the business even. That was, I guess marketing has always been a big part of my life. I mean, my degree's in marketing, and so I've always been influenced that your brand is a big part of everything that you do, and
Sure.
It has to start there. Sometimes people start with a really great product and build a brand around it. In our case, I kind of dreamt up the brand first. I had some great help. I had, Matt Bowling helped me with the graphic design initially, and we'll talk about where the name came from and those kind of things. But making sure that brand was on point, that the visuals were on point, that we had a good idea of who we were going to be, as far as our culture is concerned within the company. That's part of our brand, and then what it looked like, what the customer would experience. I kind of had all that in my head as we, before we even opened the shop, and as I was designing, and as I was saying what we needed and all the products we needed and those kind of things. That brand helped shape those things.
Yeah, and the feel that I get from it, and I'm assuming this was intentional because you started with the brand, but it's almost that nostalgic soda shop.
Yeah, exactly. And that was exactly my point. I wanted something, it's ice cream, right? I wanted something though that spoke to yesteryear, that spoke to kind of this simpler, better time of, the 1950s, the 1960s, very retro feeling. Something that communicated happiness.
Yeah. And a simpler time too.
It does. Yeah, absolutely. And so we were looking at terms through a lexicon of terms from the 50s and 60s, and came across the term Golly G, like it was like Leave It to Beaver-ish, like Golly G, and Golly G Beaver. And Jenna at the time, she said, well, what if you took that and turned that into like a character, like a, and I was like, So I said, so we were like, so Golly G, like the G in being possessive, like it's a proper noun, like it's a person, it's a character. So Golly G became the character, and then I shot that over to Matt Bowling, which was again he's a branding genius, and he was like, give me about he like 30 minutes. He had a sketch of the G, kind of the smile that's kind of become, at least locally, iconic for, amongst kids. They see that, they can't even read yet, they see that G with the smile on it, and they immediately think ice cream.
Absolutely.
So those things, and that's kind of how we came up with the name and the beginning parts of the brand. And we've obviously built around that skeleton, but it's worked out well for us.
No, I love it. And you do absolutely get that feel, because you've got the white floors, the white counters, the white subway tile in the back. It's just that kind of clean and fresh. You're welcome here kind of a thing.
Good. I appreciate that. And we have, as part of our brand, we have, and we'll talk about our core values, but we have core values that really shapes all those things.
And they're posted in the stores. I love that. Yeah. I love the fact that, you're showing the customer who you are with the service that you're providing and the quality of the product. But then at the same time, as they're leaving, you've got that on the wall right beside the door, at least in the one in Pleasant View, that's where it's at. And so it also tells them kind of the mission.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And we do the same for behind the counter. So we make sure that different integral places with, that our employees always know those things. They see them if they're making waffle cones that, yes, gosh, we need to do this with excellence.
Yeah.
Or if, they're helping somebody, gosh, is service, are we serving here? Or am I having fun? I mean, so again, I love to talk about our core values because it shapes everything that we do. It is the essential core of the brand. So.
Yeah. Well, and you can tell that also by the people that work at your stores. And by no means am I just trying to pad your ego here, but for somebody, I had 500 team members in retail, and that smile behind the counter makes you or breaks you.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Well, it does.
And your team, just by and large, when you walk in there, you feel welcome. You feel like they actually want to take care of you. And you don't feel like you've burdened them by showing up, which is how retail is these days.
Well, that starts with, I've got an incredible team that helps us identify talent, and for so long it's just, gosh, you can almost just have to take who you can get in these entry level jobs, but they do such a great job of determining who are those kids, because let's just be honest, most of our employees are 16, 17, 18-year-old kids.
Sure.
And a lot of times this is their first job, and something we look for is that ability to engage with their eyes and smile. If you can do that,
that's right, then
we can teach you to do almost anything else.
Yeah.
And so we've learned to look for those things, and it's worked out pretty well for us. We've got some incredible kids who are going to go on to do incredible things in life, and I love that for a while we get to have them and get to work with them and
some mentorship.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's a big part of it. Yeah. So, we have, in the summertime, we have 120 employees.
Yeah.
And it's so great to get to know those kids the best you can, and have at least some part in role in their lives, and you really grow to care about those kids, and they're great kids, and not all of them are kids. I mean, we have adults obviously that work for us who on a long-term basis and do a great job as well. So
sure. And so, you started with that one in Pleasant View,
2016,
and then now you're 3 locations.
We've got 3. Yeah.
Okay.
We have 2017. We opened in Clarksville. We quickly realized that we had a review done by a local publication in Clarksville in late 2016, and Clarksville found out about us, and it changed our business.
Yeah.
And it was kind of overwhelming, to be honest. And we noticed that 5 out of 10 license plates that were coming into our parking lot were from Montgomery County.
Yeah.
And so we quickly began to say, hey, what are the opportunities there? And there was very little competition. It was obviously a pretty big demand, and so we immediately started looking at spaces. I found the space that we're currently in the Sango area. It's only 15, 16 minutes from on the same highway,
on the same road,
the same highway up into what Clarksville Highway turns into Madison Street up on there in 41A, and we found a space there. Built that out, and by June of 2017, we had opened up the second location. So pretty quickly,
sure,
yeah, and so that location has, from that time on, has been our busiest location. In 2019, we opened a small place in downtown Clarksville, and it was an opportunity right there. There's a city park that had like a concession area, so we called Downtown Commons. We opened that spot. It was kind of a walk up spot only. It had a little bit of a dining room, but they had an ice skating rink in the winter and a big park in the summer, and it was a fun shop for a while. But then when COVID hit, that entire area just died. There was no walk up.
Ghost town.
Yeah, it was. So and there was some issues with some homelessness and stuff like that I didn't feel like my kids were really safe during that time.
Sure.
And so we decided to pull the plug on that, invest into a food truck, which we did. And at the same time, during COVID, we opened a location in Greenbrier in Robertson County.
Right.
In June 2020, and it's July 2020 we introduced the food truck. So that was kind of a really busy time for us, and we've been trying to keep up with that since. And it's helped us. We've learned a lot. We've helped us kind of develop a growth strategy that, again, hopefully we'll get a chance to talk through, and some fun things ahead of that as well. So,
well, and one of the things that I noticed that you did, at least there in Pleasant View, you decided to do a remodel, and you used your food truck to keep that business going so that it didn't go dark. Yeah,
that was imperative, really, because that was, when you come to depend on the revenue of a retail location and to have to kill it for a time being, because we had to do some updates, and we had some plumbing issues and stuff that we had to address in that old building.
Sure.
And so it was such a blessing to be able to park that food truck out there for 3 months and do the work that we need, because we had to jackhammer the entire concrete floor up. So it wasn't an easy remodel, but that was a blessing, because we could still operate at 80% capacity in that food truck, which was nice.
Right. Well, and keep your people employed too.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was huge.
Absolutely.
And I did the same thing in the wireless space. One of the things that if you're working as a franchise, you have to do their remodels every so many years, and we did the same thing. I rented didn't rent, but we gutted a RV.
Oh, nice.
And then built it out as a retail store.
Okay.
And it was just kind of walk in one side, walk out the other. They ring you.
Stay in business.
Yeah, stay in business.
Yeah.
And our downtime was not quite as substantial as yours was. Typically in under 2 weeks I could flip one.
Yeah.
But I also wasn't jackhammering the floor for the most part.
Right. Yeah, it was that was a trying time, but I'll tell you, that was also a really good time for my business. Like during COVID, we really exploded during that time, and I really put that on the shoulders of the communities that we're in. We were supported. There was a time when we had to shut down the dining rooms and we were drive-through only. There were 2.5 hour waits in our drive-through. In Pleasant View, it was lines going down Highway 41A for a quarter mile just to get in, just to wait for a milkshake or an ice cream cone.
I remember specifically that summer while things were shut down and the lines were crazy. Yeah, it was we rode bikes.
Oh yeah,
obviously I'm not that far away from you guys,
exactly.
But it was kind of like, okay, well, kids want to go to Golly G's, great, we can do that.
Yeah,
we're going to ride bikes.
Yeah, we did. We had lots of people riding bikes, and that was kind of the fun thing about COVID. I think it reset a lot of people's you got to do that. You got to spend time with your kids, and you got to ride bikes with them, and it forced us to be,
different than we were.
Exactly, and that's the same with our businesses too. It forced us to be different and look at different ways and different strategies, and I think we're better because of it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now, it's not like you're just serving the same old soft serve or dip that everybody else is. You guys have won some awards with your ice cream, haven't you?
Yeah, we make all of our ice cream. So we started doing that in 2000. Started the transition in 2017.
Okay.
The first year, we didn't have the facility for it, and we purchased it from a local manufacturer here in Nashville.
And it was still good.
It was great. Mike's Ice Cream. I'll just give them they're great. It's over there off 2nd Avenue. They do a great job.
They do.
Mike makes great ice cream. But yeah, we started making it as when we opened up that facility, and started slowly making our own. And by the end of 2017, we were almost 100%, probably early 2018, 100% making all of our own ice cream. And 2019, early 2020, we opened up an entire different production facility where we make all the ice cream. So any of the, let's say any of the mix-ins, with the exception of like an Oreo or something like that, but we make, if it's a brownie, if it's cookie dough, we make all those in our in-house bakery as well. So
that's cool.
We really want to make sure that the product you're getting is excellent. That goes back to our core values, but we make almost everything handmade. We hand chop everything. I promise you, it's a labor of love, but it makes a difference in the ice cream. We use local cream, from Middle Tennessee cows. We're 14% butter fat, so you can tell a difference when you eat it. We have processes in place that we allow us to freeze the ice cream really quickly so it doesn't get icy.
Sure.
So you're going to get a really creamy ice cream when you try it. So I think if you haven't tried it already, obviously you have, but there's a difference than this or Baskin Robbins or. Those places are fine. There's really not bad ice cream. Most ice cream is least palatable, right?
Sure.
But I think ours. I'm really proud of our ice cream.
Well, I think one of the things, at least for me, don't get me wrong, the flavor is great, the texture is great, but one of the things that I notice is most ice cream gives me heartburn, and for whatever reason, how the process that you guys follow, or the fact that you're using local products or whatever it is, I do not have that issue with your ice cream. Yeah,
I don't know. Other than we have a really clean label product, so we try to. There's not a lot of artificial additives, and in fact, we're in the process of eliminating artificial dyes and things like that we're going to do over the next year. But it's a very clean label product, so it's cane sugar and cream for the most part, a natural stabilizer. So there's not a lot in there to really, mess with your body too much. So it's a high quality product. It's a premium product. Obviously we charge a premium price for it because it takes a lot of money to make a product like that. When you're paying people to hand chop cookie dough that you've made yourself and all those things, that's part of who we are. That's part of our brand.
Sure.
And to answer your question, yes, we are nationally recognized. We have won multiple blue ribbons for some of our flavors, which are recognized in the top 1% of ice cream companies in the entire United States or North America, as far as that's concerned, for testing our ice cream for quality, taste, even I think bacteria counts, those kind of things. That all goes into as part of an ice cream clinic through the North American Ice Cream Association, and you're awarded either a blue ribbon is the best, red ribbon, and white ribbon. I've won all of those for our ice cream. So yeah, it's something I'm very proud of.
So somebody out there is wondering what is the best flavor at Golly G's?
Yeah, that's a loaded question, right? Yeah. For my personal opinion, my favorite is the banana pudding.
Oh, it's great. I've had your banana pudding ice cream, and it's not like anybody else's. What makes it special?
It's pretty special. I have to shout out to Joy, my mom, Joey Boykin. She makes the best banana pudding from scratch. She makes takes a double boiler and makes her own vanilla pudding and vanilla wafers and Cool Whip and all the things. And it's pretty special. But I wanted to make an ice cream based on her banana pudding.
Yeah.
And so we do the same thing. We take real vanilla pudding, we take real vanilla wafers, real Cool Whip, and really ripe bananas, and we blend that together and mix it into an ice cream. And I'm pretty proud of it. It tastes you definitely get banana pudding when you taste it. So there's no artificial banana flavor or anything like that. It's the real stuff.
I got to tell you, artificial banana flavor is the worst.
Like Runts or something. Yeah,
or even in ice cream.
Yes.
Who is it? Checkers. Checkers makes a banana milkshake that is just every chemical you can put into it.
And Sonic used to make banana milkshakes with real bananas. Like they'd blend them up, and it was great.
Yeah.
But the last few times, they're using a banana flavor now, and it is just not the same. I don't want any part of that.
It's that chemical aftertaste.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So banana pudding. That's if a lot of people would have a differing opinion in this. A lot of people would say the cold brew crunch or our loaded. Or we have an ice cream called loaded. We have but if you're asking me, and I'm my opinion,
know a little bit about ice cream,
yeah, right? Yeah.
Now, what is the most award-winning flavor you have?
Probably our vanilla, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah, it's probably won more ribbons than anything else. So our strawberry is probably right close behind. So
okay,
vanilla, strawberry, and even chocolate. Those three have won the most ribbons. Yeah,
I love it.
Excited. And if you can make those three flavors, those are your like quintessential, like the base that you can build everything else off of. You get those right, I think you do pretty good with everything else. So.
Yeah, well, and I think sometimes too, especially when somebody's visiting your location for the first time, they try to play it safe. They're like, "Oh, you can't screw up X." But for you, it's not about screwing it up or not screwing it up. It's about giving them a flavor profile that they don't get anywhere else.
Oh yeah, I mean, and it starts from the most basic flavor. One of our number one core values is excellence. Mm-hmm. And so that's the filter that when we say, okay, we're going to make a flavor here. It's not okay that it's just okay.
Yeah.
It's got to me, it doesn't go out unless it's excellent. So, so we apply that to even things like vanilla ice cream or chocolate, and a lot of people just be happy with just having chocolate ice cream, but I want it to be the best chocolate ice cream. Sure. And so that goes for all of our flavors, but in particular you start even on those base levels like that. And what do you think our number one flavor is as far as best selling flavor?
So just because of my wife, every time she has a family member that comes in and we go to Golly G's,
right,
she's like, you got to get the Tennessee Fudge.
Tennessee
so I'm going to say
yeah.
Tennessee Fudge.
Yeah. Good guess, but no, it's chocolate ice cream, believe it or not.
Just the basic
chocolate. The basic chocolate ice cream. We sell that flavor substantially more than almost any other flavor. So okay. Yeah, we make 60 boxes of that a week, which is 2.5 gallons at a time. So yeah, we make a lot of that, of chocolate ice cream.
That's a lot of chocolate going out the
door.
It
is, right. Yeah. So yeah, chocolate, and then followed up by probably vanilla and strawberry and cookies and cream, cookie dough. Those are probably your top five. Maybe cold brew crunch. Tennessee Fudge comes in and out of the top 10 from times, but it's definitely, just so you know, the audience knows what Tennessee Fudge is. It's a vanilla based ice cream with these big chunks of swirled fudge throughout it. So yeah,
it's really good. My favorite is on the ice cream side. It's going to be your mint chocolate chip.
Mint chip, yeah.
Which you make it a little bit different with. Is it cookie that's in it instead of a chip?
No, we make it different ways. Depends on but our standard mint chip is a mint ice cream with chocolate flakes in it. So we don't use chips because they get hard.
Yeah.
So we use a thin chocolate flake, semi-sweet flake. But we also make them with Girl Scout cookies, so like Thin Mints. We make that recipe with Thin Mints or Oreos sometimes.
Yep.
So we kind of mix it up from time to time with the mint stuff. But for the most part, 80% of the time, it's mint chip that's in the case.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. It's really good. But recently, in fact, it was really the first conversation we ever had. Big shout out to Don Napier out there.
What's up, Don?
For connecting us. In fact, you were supposed to be in the studio today.
Come on, Don.
But he's got a big summer meet coming up, so he's knocking that out. But you guys created a cheesecake, and my wife and I we were doing a date night. We were at Hananoki, and on the way back, thought, all right, we'll stop get a little dessert
Right there in Clarksville.
Right there in Clarksville. Stopped at your Sango location again on the same road as our Golly G's in Pleasant View, but right there next to the restaurant, and popped in trying to decide what I'm going to go with, and and I'm not usually a cookies and cream kind of guy, but this cookies and cream cheesecake looked fantastic.
It spoke to you, didn't it?
It did.
Yeah.
So I got a slice of it, and my wife was like, yeah, I'm getting one too. Okay, great.
Nice.
And it was so good that she saved the last chunk of hers and took it home, and the next night cut it into 3 pieces, one for me, one for her, and one for Castle.
How nice.
Because she was like, everybody's got to
try
savor this.
Yeah.
But then we had a conversation, and you guys created that for a very specific reason.
Yeah. So just to speak to our cheese, so as I said before, we have an in-house bakery. Incredible bakers, really craftsmen. They do an incredible job of coming up with recipes, of making sure that we have a great selection in our bakery case of all times. That making the stuff that goes in the ice cream, they do all those things. And shout out to Jeremy for heading that team up. But really talented folks, great at what they do, and they came up with with the prices of eggs that a few weeks ago were just through the roof. Of course, our cheesecake is one of our most underrated products. I put our cheesecake up there with any of the best cheesecakes around. So if you haven't tried our cheesecake, what are you doing? Go do it. Right?
It's fantastic.
Right? Yeah. Thanks, Jim. But one of the main ingredients in classic cheesecake is eggs. And it takes a lot of egg yolks in particular, and it just got so expensive. And, we don't want to have to raise the prices. I mean, it's already a
premium product,
$7-8 piece of cheesecake, right?
Sure.
It's a big, thick piece of cheesecake. So he began to look at alternatives, egg-free alternatives. So that was actually a no-bake cheesecake that we made from scratch that didn't have eggs in it, and it was fabulous. It turned out great. And so we always offer our classic New York cheesecake. We always offer a specialty cheesecake depending on what time of the year it is or the month, and that kind of thing. And that particular month, March, was National Oreo Month.
Oh, okay.
So we were featuring all things Oreo, and he came with that cheesecake, and it was great. And in fact, we're probably going to bring that back have it on the shelf all the time.
Oh, wow!
Because it was that well received.
I was going to ask that. I didn't know if I was an exception to the rule there, or if it really just took off.
No. I think everybody once they tasted that cheesecake, we couldn't keep them on the shelf, so we sold a lot of those cheesecakes over the last month. So you'll see that come back through pretty soon.
That's great. I will tell you, it is not great for my weight because I think I had 3 pieces of that cheesecake specifically that month that it was around.
You ought to work there,
I know, right? Now, one of the things that brings people in, and I think it makes you guys different, is you have these massive cinnamon rolls.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
That was part of my vision early on. Is the vision early on was to be an ice cream shop, but also to serve really good coffee and have items that were complementary of one another throughout that. So it was, we began to look at we really didn't have the facility to make donuts. We didn't have the fryers and things like that. So, something at the time you couldn't really get in town anywhere was a good cinnamon roll. And so I had my head baker at the time name was Jen, and she helped us kind of develop those recipes early on. And she developed that big, cinnamon roll that proofs into this big, beautiful, we kind of kind of, I wouldn't say it put us on the map, but it put us on the map before we started making our own ice cream. So
Sure.
it was kind of our first entry into these, our handmade things, was that cinnamon roll. And it, back in 2016, you'd bring a pan of those out, and people would just want to take pictures with them and those kinds. So early on, I really felt like that. I feel like that particular product, and it's good. It's great. It's delicious.
It was like your viral product.
It was. It did. Early on, it was the thing that we had that was probably the most special to begin with.
Yeah.
So, and we've kept that same recipe, and now we've got different icing options, and we have a specialty roll that's based on whatever we're doing for the month. That's in conjunction with that. But we still sell a lot of cinnamon rolls, and a lot of people still come to us just for our cinnamon rolls.
Oh, I bet. And Joey, here in the last year or two, you dove into another business that is adjacent to what you do, but in a totally different. It's in manufacturing,
different space.
So tell me about Rapamar Containers.
Rapamar Container Company is we manufacture and distribute corrugated and paper disposable ice cream containers all over the world, and it is it's just a small mom and pop that started in Meadville, Pennsylvania, and by a couple. And I Googled one day when I started making my own ice cream, like where do you find ice cream containers, ice cream boxes? And
sure,
I went through like 6 or 8, and finally came across this place called Rapamar Container, and I started ordering. He was the first to call me back, and I started ordering from this gentleman. He ran the business out of his garage, made these boxes, and as we grew, we became a more significant part of their business, and had a great relationship with him. And at some point, his wife had an illness, and they were at retirement age, and he, based on our relationship, he came to me and said, "Hey, would you be interested in? We're thinking about maybe selling the business. Would you be interested in?" And so I took my good friend Thomas Giesland. Thomas Giesland's one of my best friends, and he's a great in sales and just incredible people person. Never meets a stranger, and he was looking for some opportunities, ways to invest in some business, and he and I flew up to just outside of Cleveland into Meadville, Pennsylvania, and met with Randy and Patty, and kind of heard their vision about their business and what they're wanting to do, and they kind of made us a deal that we couldn't refuse. It was a great opportunity for me to have this was, again, right outside of COVID, where supply, was a challenge. It was a challenge, and it was an opportunity for me to be able to control some of that. What to the public would seem like an insignificant thing, the box that you put your ice cream in, was very significant to me, because if I can't have that, what can I put in how can I serve my ice cream? So just so the audience knows, we're talking about the large 2.5 or 3 gallon containers that, as we make ice cream, it comes out of the batch freezer into boxes. Traditionally, if you go to Baskin Robbins, or a lot of, they're round containers, and we do offer those round containers. But what's unique about ours is they're rectangle in shape,
which allows you to offer more flavors in the same case.
Correct. Yeah. So we a traditional 16-hole dipping case, which is very, very common. I can get 24 flavors while I cut out the wasted space in between the circles.
Yeah.
So I can get 24 flavors out of a 16-hole cabinet, and they're way more ergonomical. They stack. They're efficient in my walk-in freezers and things like that. So, and I don't have to wash, rinse, and sanitize those plastic buckets. They're better and
you don't have as much waste either. Because I'm thinking, and maybe I'm wrong on this, but like the ones at, say, Baskin Robbins, they're like a corrugated tube.
They're a tube. It's not corrugated, but it's a cardboard nonetheless, right. Like a fiber paper, and you have to for those particular ones, you have to have a machine. It's about a $25,000 machine that assembles that, that puts a metal ring or a plastic ring on the ends to hold it together.
Sure.
And that's not economical for a small business that has one or two shops. So this is a great alternative, and it's something it's earth friendly. Again, it's more efficient, and it had not really been celebrated in the industry. Not many people had known about it. It was, again, he was doing it out of his own notebook paper, keeping inventory on notebook paper, and very rudimentary, bookkeeping and things like that. And so we were able to take that, kind of move it into the more modern times with, developed a website that people could purchase on, and
scale it.
Yes, scale. We were able to scale it, exactly. Partnered with QCIS there in Pleasant View to help us with our basically fulfillment and storage. So they help fulfill and procure the orders from the corrugated plants, store everything, and then they even help us ship it out. So we're able to send them orders. They're able to process everything, and it's a really good win-win for both businesses. And it's really scaled our capacity. We've increased substantial revenues and profits over the last 2 years. We started going to trade shows and just really showing people what we have and what we have to offer. And it's I've been fortunate to do several of these podcasts based on that alone.
Yeah.
And in the industry specific podcasts and stuff. So it's been a great business. It's something I don't have to have just super involved in. Like I can help with things here and there. Thomas does a great job handling our with customer service and handling our sales calls, and I help with just product development and the bigger picture stuff. We're developing new products, trying to be innovative in the industry and things like that. It's been fun, and through that I've really developed even more deeper connections within the ice cream industry, because I'm serving mostly ice cream shops with these things. So,
well, and one of the things that I see there, if I'm a shop owner, why would I not switch from the 16 to the 24?
Yeah. Well, I mean, some people are just traditionalists and they're purists, and there's a perception that it's cheaper to wash and rinse and sanitize a plastic bucket. But by the time you're paying somebody, let's say you're in California and you're paying somebody $17 an hour to wash buckets all day. Yeah, it's not cheaper at all. It's cheaper just to buy a one-time use product, throw that away, let it rot away in a landfill somewhere, and you don't have that kind of worry. Plus, like you said, being able to be more efficient and
with your space.
Yeah, with your space, and that's especially in small spaces like what we have in many cases. I mean,
well, I got to believe that a lot of your small ice cream shops, they got one cooler.
Yeah.
Well,
they do.
How many more people would you get if you had an expanded, what does that add? It adds 50% more flavors from 16 to 24.
Yeah, and even in a walk-in freezer or even a chest freezer where you're storing it, you're at least 25% more efficient product.
Yeah,
with just cutting out those corners.
Yeah.
So
that's huge.
It makes sense. Yeah,
that's cool. Well, I mean, you don't think about innovation in an ice cream shop, but here we are.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
We're talking about doing more with less.
It's super nichey too, and which I kind of love niches. I think that it really helps you hone in and focus on what you do, and it's a space I'm super familiar with, and I'm like it or not, I'm seen as an expert in that industry, and so that helps as I'm saying, hey, check these boxes out.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the Golly G's guy, and so there's some cohesiveness there too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's worked out well. It's been a big blessing in my life in the last couple of years.
That's cool. Well, man, keep doing it. I think it's a great compliment to Golly G's. it being on the fringe of the business that you've got,
Right.
and at the same time, you being seen as an expert in that world, can do nothing but help. So,
Absolutely.
way to go, man.
Yeah, it's
All right.
fun.
Cool. Now, one of the things that we talked about earlier, and I think is critical for somebody that is running a business, is a lot of people, they do what they do because that's how we've always done it.
Right.
And you kind of alluded to the fact that recently you guys have pivoted, whether it be with hours or optimizing your menu, those types of things. What have been some critical moves that you guys have made?
Yeah, that's a good question. And we have, as a business owner, you have a vision for that you have from early on of what you want your business to look like. And sometimes it's hard when you realize that maybe not all that vision works.
Sure.
And so from 2016 until 2022, we've been very successful at doing what we've done well, but you also come to realize, gosh, this is not quite as profitable as it should be. We've got some incredible sales, but we've got some inefficiencies that are obviously leading to to less profit than we should have.
Sure.
And so, I just talked through some consultants that came in and looked at my business models, and basically, we were paying employees from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. That's a long time to be open, right? Yeah. In addition to your production, your production crew, and we looked at our hours in particular that, from being open from 7 a.m. to 12 p.m. accounted for about 28% of our labor, and only less than 15% of our sales.
Yeah.
So as much as it pained for me to look at that and say, gosh, but that's not who I want us to be this, as much as it pained me to look at it and say, I just couldn't refute the numbers. And so we made the difficult decision to rebrand it from Golly G's coffee, ice cream, and sweets to just Golly G's ice cream, because our sales year round, 70% of our revenue comes off of scooped ice cream.
There you go.
So that showed us what the market's telling us who we are, and to fight against that is just it didn't make sense. And so, just in a attempt to become more efficient, listen to the market, we did that rebrand to just Golly G's ice cream.
Yeah.
And it's affected our coffee sales, and yes, it's affected some of our bakery sales, but we've become way more profitable over the last year and a half since doing that. So it was a hard pill for me to swallow, but now hindsight, I can look back and I'm really glad we did that, because it's the way moving forward. It's the way, as we expand into new markets and things like that, those people are never going to know us as a coffee shop.
That's right.
No, we still sell coffee, and we still do those things well, but it's just not, we want to dance with the one that brought us here, and that's ice cream. So we that's our focus moving forward. We're primarily an ice cream shop that we obviously do bakery and coffee and those things as well. We got out of the lunch business. We got out of just doing the things that maybe we just kind of did, but that wasn't the stars of the show. Sure. And now we focus on the things we do really well. Cut our hours from 7 a.m. to now we don't open until noon, and that cut out a lot of labor. Sure. And we have some people that spent some mornings with us that they hated that, and I hated that for them too.
Sure.
But a year and a half later, I think everybody's adjusted, and there's no way we could go back to that.
Well, kudos to you for using the data and listening to what your customers were really telling you at volume, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Not that there wasn't somebody there at 7 o'clock in the morning, but so many businesses will hold on to that with a death grip to the detriment of everybody there. And really, your employees are counting on you to make business decisions. And, so way to go with that.
Well, and like I said, it wasn't easy for me to let go of myself. And I have some really great people, some wise people around me that have helped support me and show me like, hey, I really think this is, and it's important to have those folks, those people in your ear that you trust, and they helped guide us in that direction. So, it was a big move for us, and again, it was a positive move in the long run for sure.
Yeah. Now, this is a little bit of a fun one. We did touch on it a little bit earlier, but especially you and Don.
Yeah,
you guys every once in a while will go on. I don't want to call it a bender because that's not the right
a
word.
Foodie bender, like a burger bender. Yeah. Maybe so.
And go have a meal over the course of 5 different restaurants or 6 different restaurants. Where did that come to play, or is that just that happened?
That's kind of a Don thing. Don and I have been friends for gosh, Don. Forgive me if I'm wrong here, but probably since 2018, 2019. Mm-hmm. And Don was always a great advocate for our small business, for always coming in. He always loved the cheesecake. He was all, Don's just a great guy. He's never met a stranger.
Oh yeah,
and
he knows everybody.
He does. Such a cool guy. And we really developed into a friendship. He actually came in and helped us with some marketing for a while.
Yeah.
Did a great job with some of our social media and things. And just so the audience knows, Don owns a business called Import Alliance, where they do a lot of car shows and things like that. But anyways, he's a great guy. He has some really interesting interests, but food is one of those, right? Yeah. And we share an affinity for really good food. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you call us foodies, but we love unique and really well done food. So we'll go into East Nashville, for instance, and we'll have a burger night where we go and we'll go to 4 or 5 different burger spots, and we'll split a burger at each place and kind of critique those things. We've talked about maybe turning that into a podcast at some point. But we're going to do this. We do the same thing with pizza, or with just trying like one bite at each. One dish at each restaurant in an area.
I think y'all did it with tacos not too long ago.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, absolutely. So it's a fun time.
Yeah.
And hell, I'll do it with some ice cream, with ice cream or something sometime, right? Yeah. So
well, that's one of the things that I notice on your social media that I think is really cool is. And I get that you're in that space, but I love that you give shout outs to the places that you visit that you like their ice cream.
Oh yeah. I make good ice cream. I think some of the best ice cream, right? I'm a little
biased there.
Yeah, a little biased. But I also there's incredible ice cream. Even in this city, we've got some incredible places. And I've got friends, and sure, there's competition, but it's not really like that. We in this industry, for the most part, there's really great support amongst business owners who are facing the same challenges and triumphs and everything that we have. And so when I'm in the other cities, or even when I'm in Nashville, I love to support and taste and see what people are doing well, and how does it compare to what I'm doing. And it's always a way for us to reimagine what we're doing, or to say, this, I think we missed the mark here, or man, I feel like we've got a better product here. Mm-hmm. And I think it's important to do those kind of things, and develop relationships with those business owners, and have a camaraderie and share things. I mean, I'll share secrets to my recipes and stuff like that with people. And just because, so many people have helped me along the way. So many people have done that for me along the way, and given me just little things here and there that has, I wouldn't be where I am without that.
Yeah. So one of the sayings that I cannot stand is, somebody says they're self-made.
Oh gosh,
I'm gonna call BS on just about every single iteration of it.
I am not self-made. I'll go ahead and tell you that.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for the support of so many people, and there's some big ones, but so many people that have showed me and helped me along the way, who've written checks for me, have helped me in design, or pushed me from one direction to another direction, and had those influences on me. There's no way we'd be here right now. So
yeah. So besides Don and your mom, and obviously a supportive family,
Yeah.
who would you point to and say was a great mentor along the way?
Well, I'm a part of the North American Ice Cream Association, and they have mentorship programs within that association. It's a trade association and man, it's been so just people amongst in that community. They've shared so much, and they've helped guide so much. They've taken me under their wing. There's, that kind of thing. So, I don't know that I can point to one specific and say, hey, this is the person that's been my mentor. But so many people,
as part of that program.
Absolutely, as part of that program. Carl Cheney from Cheney's up in Bowling Green. He was instrumental early on. Mike from Mike's Ice Cream. And then I get to do the same thing now. I'm now kind of one of those people that people come to, and I love to sit. I mean, that's one of the things I love. I don't make a dime off of it.
Sure.
But I love to sit down and talk to people about the industry and help guide them in ways and avoid pitfalls that I fell into and those kind of things. So,
well, I think too, along the way, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's absolutely a nod to giving back in that regard. But at least in my world, maybe it's the same in yours, as I'm feeding into somebody else, it's sparking new ideas for me.
Oh.
So selfishly, I give ideas because I know that it's going to spur something else in myself.
Oh, absolutely. I've recently been a part of it's a co-op, or I guess it's a cohort maybe of the top 25 ice cream shops, privately owned ice cream shops in the United States.
Oh wow!
I fortunately get to be a part of that group.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and we've developed a kind of a support group, camaraderie community, where we had a little conference where just a intimate time of us getting together and getting to know one another and spending a weekend together and just bouncing ideas off one another. In that community, in an even smaller community, have developed relationships that have been invaluable and to this day, I mean, I use on a very consistent basis. So,
well, as you get deeper and deeper into your business, as you get better, there also becomes a much smaller group that you can actually take advice from. Yeah,
because I can look back and see, for these people that are just starting off, I can see where I've been there, and but there's just not a lot of people there's just not a lot of ice cream shops that they have 3 or 4, 5, 6, 8 locations that you can kind of say, okay, where am I going? Sure. What's this going to look like? And so it is, that as you kind of go up the pyramid there, it gets the sample size gets smaller and smaller.
Sure. Well, what is next for Golly G's? What are you looking to do in the future?
Yeah. So we've the last 18 months has been less about growth and more about profitability, making sure that we're profitable. We're not having to, it's a very seasonal business. So just in true transparency here, you do really well in the summer, and then you just kind of hold on in the winter.
Sure.
Right. From November to March, it's just like, you hold on for dear life. And then you get back a true bell curve, it starts building up again. So we want to make sure that we're sustainable year round, and that profitability is there year round. And we've made, again, a lot of these changes we've made have really helped ensure that, and we're really close to getting over that hump. But we definitely have a growth strategy that includes we've developed over the last couple of years, developed a lot of systems, put systems in place that could easily replicate the DNA of the business into possibly other owners through a franchise system. Obviously, new shop, other locations. So we're wanting to, and we'll go through each one of these, but even doing some wholesale opportunities on our pints and things like that. So I would love to maybe open one more corporate location, Middle Tennessee here, pretty close. I think we have the capacity for that in our current production facility. Probably looking at somewhere in maybe North Clarksville, something like that. So we're testing some markets up there. But we also have quite a bit of interest in some franchising opportunities. So we're in the process of working those systems out so that where we would basically continue to make the product, manage the brand, all those things, and then have true owners in the retail locations.
Yeah. Well, it's very critical as you're walking towards that next step is dialing in that profitability so that you can
Correct.
share with potential franchise owners.
Absolutely.
And really set the stage for this is what your payroll percentage needs to be. This is what your rent,
Yes.
all these things so that they can have an expectation of if you do the right things, if you grow your business appropriately, this is how long it takes to get profitable. This is how long it takes to get your ROI, those types of things.
And I have, and again, talk about strengths and weaknesses. I tend to be more on the creative, free spirit side.
Sure.
I've never been a real numbers guy. I just kind of, but I've realized in the last 3 or 4 years that I need to be. I have to be. If I'm going to be the CEO, if I'm going to be going to run this ship, that has to be important to me.
Yeah.
And it has become important to me. So I've really nerded out on different metrics and things like that. The number stuff, they do matter. The amount of your labor, what can I afford to pay an hour in labor versus what anticipated sales are going to be, and I mean all these things. And I've really a lot of people have given me some tools, and we've developed some tools, spreadsheets. We have a spreadsheet for everything now, and it just kind of they run our world. I can put we have an order guide that basically tracks the expense in real time of every
Ingredient,
bag of flour, every egg, and as those prices change in real time, I can look at our cost of the scoop of ice cream and see how it's affected. What's our COGS, what's our cost of goods on that particular scoop, all those things, and it helps us see where we are on pricing and that kind of thing. Stuff like that's been huge for us.
Yeah.
But I've got those tools developed now, and so it helps us really kind of move forward with making sure that all these metrics are where they need to be as we kind of look to see what's next.
So, and again, I'm not trying to pad your ego here, but you are light years ahead of so many that are, at around a 10-year mark. I mean, because that's where you're
9 years now.
Yeah. And usually, in fact, Jack Daly says this the best I think I've ever heard it, is that most little league teams are run better than most small businesses.
Yeah.
And the reason being is, so many business owners, rightfully so, if you're an entrepreneur, you're going to fly by the seat of your pants to some degree. Yeah. But you really have to make that transition of where you either hire people to dive into the data and then you make decisions based on the data, or you have to learn it. One of the two. And it's usually a combination of the two together. But really to dial in the way you run your business and being the creative side, that it feels like you're being collared into something.
It does. Absolutely. Yeah.
But at the same time, it also, once you understand that you have to have it, it also gives you the freedom to be more creative once you've dialed it in.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what we've really tried to invest in those. It really comes down to systems. To those systems that allow those things to be monitored, to be forecasted, to all those numbers are as much as I hate the numbers, they're so important to our success. And I can make the best ice cream in the world, but if we can't get it to the market in an efficient way, what's the point, right? We're going to go home. I'm going to have to go get another job somewhere, right? So, we've got to have those systems in place. We've worked really hard, and I can't just put it on myself. I've got a great team that have slaved over these things, and some great consultants, and just people within the industry that have shared their tools and their secrets. And hey, I've been there. I've got 20-something locations now. This is how we got there.
Sure.
And so again, there's few of those people. but those people have been very, very, very gracious to share those things with us. So, I mean, I'm excited about where we're going. We're not there yet, right? We're still climbing that hill, and there's still challenges ahead of us. But we're quickly getting ourselves into a place where we can take that next step.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That is awesome. Now, kind of throughout this process, you've grown from probably just a couple employees to now around 80?
We have, depending on the time of the year, in the wintertime we keep around 80. And then in the summertime that blossoms up to 120, 130, based on seasonal employees.
Sure. Well, just from a volume standpoint.
Sure, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's been the biggest employee challenge maybe that you've had so far?
Just the right people.
Sure.
I mean, I think that's every business's challenge is in a workforce is making sure you have the right people in place. And 80% of our workforce are teenage kids. And we talked about this is that teenage kids, they need guidance. They need, a lot of times it's their first job, and there's good ones that do a great job, and then there's some that need a lot of work. And identifying those is the challenge, and making sure that you're a place that the good ones want to come work. You've created a culture where they're like, I want to work there. Obviously the master at that's Chick-fil-A. Sure. I think that we do a pretty good job of that. And again, a lot of that's based on, the people I have in place in leadership that know exactly what we're looking for. We know the type. We know what to look for in personality. Can they look you in the eye and engage with you? Those things. That sounds really simple.
Yeah, but it's not these days. So many. And I'm not mad at them or anything. It's really our generation's fault for not raising them differently. But they can't hold eye contact. They can't walk up and shake your hand with any confidence. Those types of things are just lost. On some.
Absolutely. And so we look for that. That's something that we need to see. And again, my team does a great job of identifying those people, and people that have a good work ethic too. That's one thing, is you can be really good with people and have a really lousy work ethic. And you'd rather be over on the side talking to your friends or texting with your friends rather than busting your butt to serve the customer.
That's right.
So, again, those are the biggest challenges, and keeping the drama out of, you have a bunch of teenage girls, keeping the drama out of the store. We have, again, great leadership in place, finding those people, identifying those people, making sure they feel valued and compensated for their talents. And that bleeds down into how they influence, how they manage, those kind of things. So that's, again, there's not a magic sauce or a magic formula other than we just try to make sure we have the right people that fit our culture. When they don't fit our culture and they don't fit those core values, it's pretty evident. And we have to make the quick decision we didn't get this one right. We wish you the best.
Absolutely. And everybody's not going to make the fit.
No, absolutely not.
The other thing too is, and this is my theory on, after hiring, 2,000, 2,500 people over the last 20 years. And I'll go ahead and tell you up front, this analogy sounds pretty rough when we get started. Right. But I look at new hires as hitchhikers.
Okay, yep.
Think about a hitchhiker that's willing to pay for gas. So imagine we are in Barstow, California, about to get on I-40, and somebody's got their thumb out.
Right.
They've sent their resume in, whatever that looks like. A lot of times people will hire people they like.
Yeah.
And that'll get you somewhere, but it ain't going to get you all the way there. You really have to be willing to ask the tough questions to find out, are you going the same direction? Because it could just be cold and they want to get into a car.
Right.
Or, they need money, so they've got their resume out there and they can fog a mirror and they seem pleasant and they're dressed okay. So, all right, we got you on board here. But really what you got to ask is, where are they trying to get to?
Mm.
And for me, the reason that's so valuable is somebody can interview really well. And I can be like, oh my gosh, I'd love to have them. But if they're not going the same direction that I'm going, it doesn't make any sense. So if they get in because they need a job and they were dressed appropriately and I bring them on board, but I didn't ask the right questions in order to find out that they're wanting to go to Alaska and I'm going to Tennessee.
Mm.
The further we drive, the more aggravated they get. I see it as them being ungrateful because I've given them a job. And so there's this tension that builds and nobody's happy.
Right.
But if I really asked enough questions to find out that, okay, they're going to Texas, I'm going to Tennessee. Okay, it makes sense for us to ride together.
Yeah.
They're going to get some skills. They're getting benefit along the way.
Sure.
But it also gives us an appropriate kind of separation point so that I'm not under any false pretenses they're going to be here with me forever.
Right.
And they're not either.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting ready we're coming up. We see the exit numbers. Okay, well, we're getting close to where you're going to get off here. And everybody wins. But so often they're just trying to get somebody on the books, or they're that person seemed great. Great, but did you dive in far enough to figure out how they win other than the paycheck?
It's more than just a warm body that, this guy, I can pay him $9 an hour, but this guy here, I'm gonna have to pay him $11, so I'm gonna go with the $9. Even though he's wanting to go to Utah instead of Texas, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, and I see in your business, it could be that somebody's trying to learn the skill of interacting with people,
right?
Or whatever that is. Like, how do we? You're trying to go to, what are you going to college for? What do you want to do in life? Which I get, for a 16-year-old, that's a tough question to answer, right? But then paint the picture for, well, here's how I can help.
Yeah.
If we decide that it's a good fit, well, these are the things you're going to learn here at Golly G's.
Yeah.
And that way they're kind of checking those off the box, like, oh, I'm learning these things.
Sure.
It's not like I'm just showing up and dipping ice cream, right?
Sure.
But so many times business owners get that wrong because they're in a panic of getting somebody on now, and then they end up having to fire them, or they just, worse than that, they let them stay.
There was a time right after COVID where it almost got to the point where we had to almost take what we could get.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, I think that was the way with everybody in that 2021 kind of maybe early 2022. Things have loosened up from there substantially now.
Sure.
But there was a time where we couldn't get people. We couldn't get people. Like, we were in danger of not being able to fulfill shifts, and I was working the floor. I was, that kind of thing, which I hadn't done for years, and just because we couldn't find people. So, fortunately, we're at a space where we can be way more particular about who we hire, and that changes our business for sure.
Oh, it really does. Absolutely.
Yeah, but that's a great analogy, though. Great analogy.
We have to have interests outside of work.
Yeah.
We have to have hobbies. I hear you're into cars.
Yeah, I love old cars.
Okay.
I have a couple myself. My dad and I have done all of our lives as long as I remember. My dad's always been into street rods, which are old modified cars pre-1948. So he has a 1940 Chevy convertible, which is beautiful. Mm-hmm. I've got a 1970 Roadrunner that I'm carrying for someone, but I get to drive it.
Okay.
And then I've got a 1947 Ford Coupe as well. That kind of a hot rod.
Yeah.
That's got a big motor in it, but doesn't look great. It's fun though. So we go to car shows, and it's something me and my dad have been able to do for, again, all of our lives. And I've got a great camaraderie amongst some of those car guys that, again, it's just something I love to do with him, and through his love for it, it's become a love for me too. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's great. I love doing that. So yeah, that's fun. A big one of my hobbies.
Yeah. I'll have to introduce you to my dad, because he is usually at those. In fact, mom just recently told him the garages are full.
Nice.
He's got 14 bays, and it's now maxed out.
Wow.
he added in fact, we went up to Cincinnati to pick it up. He added a 68 Chevelle convertible.
Oh, nice.
Just I guess it was September. 396.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic. And then just recently, in fact, young ladies podcast that released last week, BB Print Co. up in Hendersonville did some just amazing graphics on the side of this car. So he wanted some stripes, but he didn't want regular stripes. And as we were talking through it, I said, what do you envision? He goes, I envision there being a flag in it, but you can't see it until you get right up on it. And I took it to a place in Clarksville, and they could not fulfill the request.
They couldn't get the vision, yeah.
And when I started talking to Amber and Anthony up at BB Print Co., they blew my mind. They were like, well, what if we just did it embossed? And I was like, what do you mean? And they were like, what if you couldn't see it until you got up on it because it was actually raised?
Oh, wow.
And I couldn't even get that in my head. I was trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
And so they made a sample for me. And I took it, and within a half of a second, my dad was like, yes, that.
That was it? Yeah. What did he put it on? What car?
So it's on the 68 Chevelle.
Oh, it is on the 68 Chevelle.
Yeah, so it's a
cool.
red 68 Chevelle with a black top. And it's got
I want to see it.
I'll show you a picture in a minute. But it's got these black stripes on it that have an American flag embossed into it. So it's crazy.
I want to see it. Yeah, I'm sure I've ran into him up at Cruising and Grooving or something like that, because we're at a lot of those things. So.
Yeah. So, but yeah, they're kind of the same. It's a lot of them are military veterans, and so a lot of them are more 40s. Dad's really more in the 50s. He does have a 48 Ford pickup.
Yeah.
But then he's got 350. He's got a 55 Chevy, a 57 Chevy,
Tri-5s, yeah,
and then a 57 Nomad.
Nice.
So it's fun.
It is fun. I love it, and I love to go on cruises. And we go to Louisville every year to the Street Ride Nationals. That's one of my favorite times of the year to spend with my dad and some of his friends. We just have a blast. So again, that's something I love. Yeah.
If you're tinkering, do you know Jeremy Jensen?
I don't think so.
He's the Snap-on guy there. He lives off Boat Factory, actually.
Oh, okay.
And he and his dad both race quarter mile.
Oh, do they?
So
okay.
They're big in that race scene.
Yeah.
But they've got some fun stuff too.
I bet.
I'll have to introduce y'all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jeremy's
We need to.
Well, this last part, we have a little bit of controversy. And so I'm not trying to get anybody canceled here, but what is a truth that you think is worth saying that we call this section things we think but do not say?
Things we think but do not say.
And so like for me, one of mine is performance matters and we should be keeping score. I mean, us not keeping score does our children, does everybody around us a disservice because somebody's going to win and somebody's going to lose. And if you're teaching that we're just here to play, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying there's not a space for that.
No participation trophies.
No participation trophies.
Oh, I agree completely.
Yeah. So what's something in your world where you're like, you know what? Somebody needs to hear this.
That's hard. I would say that for me, that as much as I love my business and as much as men that were driven to perform and to succeed, it's not the most important thing.
Absolutely. Can't lose sight for what you're working for.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because that's not the why. It's what drives us, but it's really the driver is what we're doing it for, and for me, it's my girls, it's my family.
Yeah.
And that I'm never going to work. My personality is I'm never going to be the guy that works 70 hours a week. It's just not worth it to me.
Yeah.
I would much rather spend time with my girls, watching them grow up, and yes, I could probably make more money if I spent more time in the office or in the lab or all those things, but it's just not. It's not the most important thing to me.
That's right. Well, especially raising kids, you're not going to get that time back.
You don't get it back.
And I think statistically, parents are around their kids. Like it's almost like 16 of the 18 years they're in your presence, and then from 18 to the end of their life, it's an equivalent of 1 year.
Yeah, that's hard, man.
It's gut wrenching to think about.
It is, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I think and there's those guys out there, and I'm just not one of them. The CEO types that have to be super driven and work is the primo part of their life, and they get rewarded through a certain sense of success. But for me, that's not me. I'd much rather enjoy my life and do as well of a job as I can moving my company forward while maintaining that balance. Yeah. So I don't know if that really is that kind of what you were looking for there, but that was the thing that first came to mind.
Well, I was that person.
Yeah.
If we backed up 2015, 2016, 2017 especially, I was working 70 hours a week. 2019, I was working 70 hours a week and building a house. So I was, working 110 hours a week.
Yeah, for sure.
So, and then I decided I didn't want to do that anymore.
A little shot of reality, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's something to be said for understanding why it is that you go to work every day. And it's easy. It is real easy to lean in on the numbers in the bank account and say, that's why I'm successful. But at the end of the day, your success is going to be measured by what life experience you had, how you provided for your family. But, once the needs are met, then it's about the time that you've spent creating memories.
For sure. Absolutely.
If we were going to throw a charity bowling event and you had to pick 4 team members to join you on the lanes, and the whole point was to generate buzz and interest, and these people could be people they could be people throughout history that have either lived and or no longer living.
My goodness.
Anybody on this planet or that ever was on this planet could be on your team.
That's a loaded one.
It is.
Four people.
4 people. Okay. And we've had all kinds of crazy things. I mean, so there's nothing is off limits.
Okay. Wow. I guess are we seeking to win the tournament here? Are we going to win the bowling tournament? I guess that's the goal, plus the notoriety and
exactly. It's a combination of winning and the notoriety.
I'm gonna go ahead and put God on my side. So I'm big JC. We're gonna have. I think my man Jesus would be a pretty good bowler.
That's right.
Probably break some of your backwards bowling records if you tried. But no. For all that to say, I mean, my faith is a very important part of. I can't make an answer like that without my belief in Jesus as my Lord and Savior, and so Jesus is riding with me wherever it is, or whatever team I'm on. So,
that's right.
Obviously, that's my number one. I think for just kind of notoriety and a sense of celebrity and pop. You got to put Donald J. Trump on that team.
Yeah.
I mean, just like him or hate him, he's going to bring the views. He's going to make sure that the team is being pushed forward, and we're going to be winners. It's
going to be fun too.
It's going to be fun for sure. Gosh, man. That's a tough one. Outside of that.
Somebody you'd like to hang out with. You're just like, man, I think it'd be cool to hang out with that person.
Yeah. Somebody that I haven't hung out with that I think it would be good to hang out with. Maybe, I don't know, Joe Rogan, maybe?
Yeah. He's on my list. Like if I was putting together a team.
I mean, I think Joe, just the how curious that guy is, the questions he asks, I really admire him and his ability to just kind of balance and ask great questions, and obviously do what we're doing now on a super successful basis. And and I love his interests. He's not afraid of anything. So we can talk about aliens 1 minute, and then comedy or MMA or something like that the next breath. So
that's right.
I think that'd be a fun conversation, and get somebody to at least be entertaining while we're bowling. And then probably, gosh, I would say, I don't know. I think maybe like Nate Brigazzi or somebody like
Nate Big. Nobody said Nate before.
Yeah, Theo Vaughn or somebody like that to kind of give us a little bit of fun on the back end to kind of keep us entertained the whole time. I think that'd be fun.
All right, last one is, now you got to pick a commentator. Who's going to give the play-by-play to keep everybody fired up?
I guess I'm going to have to go with Jim Nance. This is the Masters week. Jim Nance, we could. I don't know if he'd fire people up, but he would bring a level of class that we definitely would need with that bunch.
That's right. I love it. That's cool. What's a piece of advice you'd give to somebody right now that maybe is thinking about starting a business? Maybe they've done a little bit of planning. Maybe they've got the brand kind of figured out, but man, they are shaking in their boots about actually pulling the trigger and stepping out on their own, leaving their 9 to 5 or whatever that looks like.
I would say just make sure you believe in your vision, know your vision well, and don't be afraid of your vision. Don't let people talk you out of your vision. Know your vision, and then pursue that vision with tenacity. And because you have to protect that vision as well, and make sure that you surround yourself with people that are going to help you protect that and push you forward, encourage you. Encouragement is such a big thing. Because like you said, there's so many naysayers. Like when you heard that we were opening an ice cream shop in the middle of a rural town in Cheatham County, you probably were like, I don't know how that's going to work out. There's a lot of that. Right?
For me, honestly, it was the building,
which
I think has worked out great for you guys.
Oh, it has, yeah.
But in my head, because several other people were like, "Oh, we're going to open a shop there. We're going to do burgers. We're going to do this. We're going to do that,"
right.
And it just nobody ever brought it to fruition. So really, in the back of my head, I was like, "Oh, it's just somebody else, popping off." And then you guys have just absolutely crushed it.
Well, and again, having people that believe, that can catch your vision and believe you and support you. A support structure is the most important part, and what that looks like from one person to the next can be vastly different. It could be monetarily, it could be just emotionally, it could be or all the above. And having that support, I can't imagine going into a new business environment, starting something new without a really substantial support system. And as a part of that, finding people within that industry that are not greedy, that are not selfish, that just want to see people do well because people have done the same thing to them. And those people exist out there in every industry, maybe some more than others.
Sure.
In my particular industry, that again, like I said, that's been a prevailing resource throughout my 9 years that we've done this. And find those people. Join those trade organizations, get involved, and learn as much as you can early on. And some of it you just can't learn; you're just going to have to experience.
Sure. Well, one of the things that I think that business owners, it's just one of those things you need to realize is, as you're bringing on team members, what that ideal team member looks like. Because let's just be real, the same person that works at a call center and can deal with rejection 500 times a day, or goes is in collections, is not the same person that serves ice cream.
It's not the same person, no.
Or cupcakes that is there to make people feel good about this environment where they decided to stop to treat themselves. Absolutely. You have that. That's part of your vision, right? Is you're developing that. That's when you decide that you want to go into business, the very first thing that you should do is have a vision for what that looks like. And that vision may change over time. It has for me. It's been forced to in some ways, but for the most part, it's stayed the same.
it's evolved, but for the most part, to the core, those core values, those things, it shapes the business.
Yeah.
And so having that vision is a part of that vision, knowing what does the customer experience look like?
Yeah.
How do I get there? How do I hire? What person do I need? What personality profile? What should they? How are they dressed? All those things. The sky's the limit. You can think those things up. We have imaginations, and that's how we develop these visions. And what would it look like? What would it look like for you if you were to walk into that ice cream shop? Who would you want to serve you?
Yeah.
How would you want to be treated? Those are the things that you ask as you develop that vision and come up with that. Okay, this is the ideal candidate for somebody that's scooping ice cream for me. So yeah.
Cool. All right, so somebody out there is planning a trip to Nashville, and I did not tee you up for this one, so I'm going to come out left field with you on it. So somebody's planning a trip to Nashville, and they want to know where they need to go for the best burger, the best taco. Obviously, they're going to Golly G's for the best ice cream.
Obviously.
What would you say best burger, Nashville?
In Nashville, man, I tell you that Redheaded Stranger has a green chili burger that it's not necessarily your traditional, cheeseburger that you get at a lot of places. They've got some great burgers, right? Mm-hmm. But man, that burger is probably my favorite so far. So it's at the Redheaded Stranger. It's got a homemade green chili on it that it's just a really unique but extremely delicious burger.
Best taco.
Ooh. There's I don't even know the name of it. There's a food truck trailer right outside of there's a what's the name of it? There's a tiki bar right in East Nashville. Mm-hmm. I'll have to look what that is, the name of it is up. But
we'll pop the name of it up in the video.
They have quesadilla.
Okay.
That is, true traditional quesadilla with the consomme, and and Don, shout out to Don again. Don put me on this place. It's one of my faves. Redheaded Stranger also has a really good taco as well. Believe it or not. I think just on the spot, Taco Mamacita has a great steak taco. Sure. I enjoy the tacos at Superica. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of great options out there. I do love tacos. So
best barbecue.
Oh yeah, this is a passion for mine.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I love burgers. I love tacos, but barbecue's a passion of mine. In Nashville, I feel like that Martin's and Belmont.
Okay.
I don't know if it's their cooker or their brisket in particular at that location is probably one of my favorite in Nashville. I do like, there's some pretty good. I do like Carrie Bringle's place over in the Nations. Mm-hmm. Smoking Oasis.
Yep.
It's good as well. It's one of my faves.
Okay.
There's a place in Springfield that's really good called Willie Mae's.
Now, their ownership group changed.
It has.
And I noticed their flavor changed.
It has. It's not, again, I want to be careful.
Sure.
Because I love
it's
that.
It's still good.
I love that place. It is. And they've worked through some changes.
Okay.
I feel like if you haven't been there recently, it went through a time where it kind of dipped down as they were changing some processes, the cooker, and maybe even modified some recipes. I think it's getting back up to where it was.
Okay. I need to go back by there.
Yeah.
Actually, you, Don, and we need to swing by there.
Absolutely. We'll do that.
What about a good Southern flair?
Yeah.
Like what's a good one for
Southern
food?
You can't go wrong with Loveless.
That's good. Yeah.
Gosh, I'm actually going to go have hot chicken here in a minute.
Oh, I was going to ask you hot chicken. Yeah. So which one?
Well, the original Prince's, which
can't beat that.
It's right down the road here now, but the original one that was over on Ewing Lane was I mean, it can't be replicated. Even this one here, I mean, it's good. Sometimes it depends on who's cooking it and when you catch it and that kind of thing.
I heard they're not using the cast iron over here.
Right. That's right. Yeah. So that changes things for sure. And I understand that.
Sure.
I mean,
yeah.
But for just like, if I was just going to tell somebody, hey, go have a great, consistent experience, go to Hattie B's right there on Charlotte. And that's probably where I'm going for lunch.
They have the best retail.
They do.
They've got the best processes.
Yes. Consistency is so.
Do they have the best flavor? I still prefer Prince's.
Yes.
Flavor.
Are you a hot or?
Man, I'm a mild.
Are you a mild?
I would rather. For me, it's not as much about the heat as it is enjoying it. And to be just totally transparent, I don't like to touch food with my hands.
Yeah.
But I will for hot chicken.
Yeah. You got to bone in, I guess.
Bone in.
You got to go bone in. Yeah. So yeah, I'm at Prince's. I'm a medium. At Hattie B's, I'm hot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I'm gonna dive right in.
And it's usually about one level. But even with, how do you feel about Bolton's?
I like Bolton's. Yeah, I do like Bolton's. I've only had Bolton's a couple of times, but I mean, I don't know. I like the flavor profile a little bit more in Hattie B's and Prince's. But I mean, I love good fried chicken.
Yeah,
especially with the Nashville flair, that hot.
And there's plenty of bad ones. So as we're talking about these three, I mean, we're talking about the cream of the crop. I think
some awful ones. There's so much out there that's labeled hot chicken, Nashville hot chicken, which is not even close.
It should be a crime.
It should. There's a place. Is it called Reds or something over in Centennial Park now? It used to be. I'm just wondering if that place is good. I just drove by it.
You talk about the one that's on the edge of Central Park.
Centennial. Yeah, it used to be a barbecue place.
Yeah. If it's the same one that's been there for 5 or 6 years, we ate over there right after they opened.
Oh, really?
And I will. The chicken was good, but the showstopper was, and I had to quit going because it was too good. Was their fruit tea?
Oh, I'm a fan.
I mean, it was one of those that just you couldn't stop drinking it.
Yeah,
of course, it's
so much sugar in it. Oh my gosh,
it was fantastic.
That sounds good.
Well, Joey, thank you so much for coming in, having a spirited conversation with me.
It's been a blast, man.
Yeah. And I got one last question. Sure. It gets a little more serious, but have you put any thought into how you want to be remembered?
Yes. I mean, I think every person, at least every man, thinks about what's their legacy going to be.
Sure.
And I hope it's not about ice cream. I hope maybe people remember I made good ice cream, but I hope my legacy is that that I loved well, that I loved my family well, that I loved my kids well, and that I was always a source of safety and security and love for them, and that those around me felt loved, and that I was a kind person, caring person. Those things are more important to me. That I had an impact on the kingdom of God. That I did the things that I was obedient in helping show people the thing that's changed my heart and what Jesus has done for me. And so those are the things that I think matter most to me, and hopefully that when people think about who I was, 50 years from now, that those are the things that come to mind.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, and I can tell you, I mean, because this is the first time we've actually met, that we've actually shook hands.
Absolutely, yeah.
And but your reputation, precedes you.
Well, thank you.
People speak very highly
Likewise.
of you. Don's a pretty good judge of character, and
yeah, maybe we'll see. He does hang,
he does hang out with both of us.
So.
But thanks so much for coming in, and
thanks for having me.
And at the same time, providing such a great place in our community.
Well, again, it's my pleasure, and that means a lot. It surely means a lot. You can measure success in so many ways, but how your community receives you and perceives you and supports you says a whole lot, and I take that a lot of pride in that. So, but thank you for saying that. Thank you for having me. This has been a great time, and we'll have to do it again sometime.
Absolutely. Well, team, you heard it here on the Charge Forward podcast. Joining me in the studio, Mr. Joey Boykin of Golly Cheese Ice Cream and Rapamar Containers. hopefully you took something from this episode that either inspired you to level up your business, or maybe inspired you to step out on that idea, or that thing that you've been wanting to do on your own, or maybe to just shop locally, where somebody like Joey is serving your community, providing a great place for people to learn and work, and serving their community with fantastic treats or some type of other service. Until next time, I'm Jim Cripps with the Charge Forward Podcast. We'll see you soon. Team, is Jim Cripps here with the Charge Forward Podcast. I just want to tell you, I love you. I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you for subscribing and sharing the Charge Forward Podcast with people you know and you love, because that's what we're here for. We are here to share the amazing stories, the things that people have been through, the ways that they were able to improve their life, so that you can take little nuggets from theirs and help improve your story and be better tomorrow than you were today. I hope that this is the tool you needed at the right time, and that you find value in the amazing guests that we bring each and every week. Thanks so much, and don't forget, new episodes drop every Thursday.